tutorial on factor rainbows. Factors come up a lot in math, from division, fractions, and prime and composite. You're going to be using them a lot. So factor rainbows is a really good strategy so you can make sure that you get every single factor of a number. Let's go ahead and get started. Factors are the number that you multiply to get another number. What are the factors for 10? So what we're going to do is we're going to complete a factor rainbow for the number 10. We start off by writing our number to the side. And then we always start with the number 1. 1 times itself. So 1 times 10. Those are going to be your outside edges of your factor rainbow. Then what you do is you work your way in from 1. So our next number that we'd come to would be 2. And you have to think, does 2 go into 10? Well, since 10 ends in a 0, it's an even number. We know that 2 goes in. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10. So that's our next part of the rainbow. Now, as you work your way in, 1, 2, we only have 3 and 4 left in between the numbers 2 and 5. 3 cannot perfectly go into 10, and 4 cannot perfectly go into 10. So we are finished. Our factors for 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. Let's go ahead and look at another number, 12. We're going to start with 1 times 12. 1 and 12. We always start with that 1. Then we go to 2. This is an even number, and I know 2 times 6 is 12. So 2 times 6. These connecting rainbow strands, I guess if you don't want to call them, are saying these are the two numbers you multiply to get this number. Once you go to 2, then you go to 3. Can 3 go into 12? Well, I do know 3 times 4 is 12. Now, there are no more numbers in between 3 and 4, so that means you're finished. If you go correctly in order, you never have to worry about numbers past 4. So you don't have to think about 5, you don't have to think about 7 or 8. If you do this part correctly, this part will be correct as well. So our factors for 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Let's look at the number 9. We always start with 1 times 9. Then we go to 2. 9 is an odd number. 2 does not go perfectly into 9, so you cannot multiply 2 times anything to get 9. So then we need to move on. 3. Yes, 3 times 3. So what I like to do, instead of writing it twice, I just like to write it once with a little mini rainbow over top. If you have a number that has a double, so 3 times 3 in this case, you're finished. There's no numbers in between 3 and 3, so you know you're complete. The factors for 9 are 1, 3, and 9. Let's move on to a problem with a few more factors. 24. We're always going to start with 1 times itself. So 1 times 24. I hope that's enough space. Then we go to 2. This is an even number, so I know 2 is going to go in. Now sometimes you might come to a problem where you know 2 goes in, but you don't know how many times 2 goes in. So what I'm going to do is do a simple division problem. We're going to see how many times 2 goes into 24. 2 goes in once, subtract, you get 0, bring down the 4, and 2 goes into 4 twice, and that's perfect. So 2 times 12 is 24. You might already know that 2 times 12 is 24, but you need to know the process in case you don't know. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going to 3. I know off the top of my head that 3 times 8 is 24. It's very helpful to know those multiplication facts, and this is a lot easier. Then I move on to 4. Can 4 go into 24? Well, it can. 4 times 6 is 24. Now, we've whittled our way all the way down, and the only number left in between 4 and 6 would be 5. Now, the only multiples of 5 have a 0 or a 5 at the end. This does not have a 0 or a 5 at the end, so 5 cannot go into 24 perfectly. So we're finished. The multiples for 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Let's do one more example. 17. We're going to start with 1 times 17. The next number we go to is 2. This is an odd number. It ends in a 7, so 2 is not going to go in perfectly. So then we go to 3. I know that 3 times 5 gives me 15, and 3 times 6 gives me 18. So we've skipped 17, so 3 cannot go into 17. Then we go to 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and then 4 times 5 is 20, so we cannot go in perfectly with 4. There are no numbers other than 1 and 17 that go in perfectly. So if you remember, that means this is a prime number. The only factors are 1 and 17. Let's go ahead and go over our factor rainbow rules. First, you need to start with 1 times the number. So let's say we were doing 15. You would say 1 times 15. Step 2, work your way in next by going to 2, then 3, and so on. We would next go to 2. This is not an even number, so 2 will not go in. I'll then go to 3. I know that 3 times 5 gives me 15. When you get to the center and no other numbers work, you know you're done. The only number in between 3 and 5 is 4, and 4 does not go perfectly into 15, so we are finished. The factors for 15 would be 1, 3, 5, and 15. Here are some extra tips for factor rainbows. Take your time when thinking about each possibility. You don't want to leave out any factors. That's when you either divide to make sure, or you do your multiplication facts over to the side just to be sure you're not missing anything. Next, the better you know your multiplication facts, the easier this will be. Practice those facts that you know you struggle with for better results. Let's go ahead and finish up with some practice. Go ahead and grab a sheet of paper and do factor rainbows for 4, 20, and 13. Pause your video, and then I'll show you the answers. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on factor rainbows. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.